Okay, I believe we now have William Carnaccio. Bill, can you hear me?
I can. I don't see me on the screen, but can you hear me?
I can hear you. I cannot see you. You might
All
be
right.
able to look at your lower left if you see a camera icon that says start video.
All
That may
right.
help
Got
you.
that. Thank you.
And we're just going to wait 1 second for the chairman to give the
I'm
go
back.
ahead to move forward.
I'm back.
Unfortunately, Zoom
Okay.
Zoom is not detecting my camera. So
We have your presentation. If you have that in front of you.
Yep, I do indeed. So I will simply speak without being seen.
And just let us know which page you would like us to be on and when you want us to move forward.
And first, I want to thank you for putting this together, as well the other presenters did. I want to say welcome from the Carnaccio home, but you can't see it. At Rifkin Radler, we were working remotely a week before the government's executive order, and so here we are. But thankfully, we have this wonderful technology that isn't working fully up to speed right now to enable this meeting. So the chairman gave a little introduction about the history of our application a little bit earlier in the evening, but if we can just move forward with the next slide. Great. This is a rendering of the hotel project at the Jericho Commons. The Jericho Commons is the shopping center just north of the Long Island Expressway on the east side of North Broadway. There's a Whole Foods there now, a CVS. It's the Milridge Inn is there, and there's a moderately sized shopping center. So this project, if you could turn to the next slide, please, Kevin, involves a 93-room hotel. We're going to have the Marriott Residence Inn flag, and it's this the Residence Inn. If you're not familiar with this type of facility, is a suite style hotel. Our plans call for 63 studio units, 24 one-bedroom and 6 two-bedroom suites. Importantly, the hotel will not have a restaurant. We'll provide a complimentary self-service breakfast. That's one of the features of the Residence Inn style hotels, and a small bar serving to guests only wine, beer, and spirits. If we turn to the next slide, that's a site plan of the overall shopping area with the colored area in color mapping the approximate location of the hotel. I think most of you know at this point it's just vacant land. It serves as a parking lot for the Millridge Cottage when the cottage has is conducting an event. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide. The cost of construction is estimated to be $19,215,500, and the developer has committed to using union labor on the project, and I'll get to more about that in a few moments. We're anticipating employing 100 construction workers in various trades, and at this point our plans have been filed along with an application for a building permit, and the application and plans are currently under review. Next slide, please. After construction, we'll have 33 full-time workers, 5 part-time workers in varying positions and skill levels. I think it's important to note that the pilot payments are going to exceed the current real estate taxes on this vacant land. And it's a revenue driver in several other respects. Of course, it'll be sales tax, hotel occupancy tax, and it will be a market driver and an engine really on the nearby food and beverage establishments, personal care retail outlets in that center, and the Starbucks, Cafe Dolce Vita, Market Bistro, etc. In addition to the typical business and tourist guests, I think right now there really isn't there really aren't many lodging opportunities for visitors to our institutions of higher learning, and this will serve that purpose as well, especially for somewhat extended stays such as graduation ceremonies. So if we turn to the next slide, you'll see this is the history of our application process. The board preliminarily induced us last December of 18. Since that time, the developer has been, quite diligent in pursuing the 3 zoning variances that it needed to construct this project, and they were granted over time, and it was not until May of 19 that we received the special use variance, and more recently on January 30th, the height and parking variances. Once those variances were in place, we moved forward with filing the construction plans and building application, and so we're really forging ahead right now at as fast as the building permit process will allow us. As I said earlier, the developer committed to employing union labor on this project. As a result, the project cost has increased by approximately $2.5 million to the $19 million figure you see there. Assistance from the agency was very important when we originally filed the application. It's now absolutely crucial to make this much needed project work. So what is our purpose here today? Well, we need to amend the existing preliminary approval to reflect the increase in the project cost. Our request, just to repeat in the past, was the sales tax exemption, which is very important with all the hotel furnishings and equipment that will be involved in this project. A partial mortgage recording tax exemption and a pilot agreement. The pilot that was discussed calls for a 20-year pilot, a 5-year freeze, and the phase-in after that at the 1.81% rate. What was not part of the original request with respect to the pilot was our current ask for the ability to protest taxes for 1 year only. There's been a significant tax increase with a countywide assessment over the 17-18 taxes. Kimco, which owns the property, sorry if I didn't mention, but some of you may recall, this is the developer is ground leasing this, ground leasing from Kimco, but Kimco has pending certiorari's. In our application, we committed to withdrawing them. However, we'd like to amend that based upon the relatively large increase in tax since the 17-18 assessment. And that would be the only year that would be subject to review. I have not on the Zoom meeting, but available on the line, a representative of the developer if there are any questions, which I can't answer, but happy to entertain questions from the board members right now if there are any.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate the presentation. Just for the benefit of the public, and the board, you did point out that our board passed a preliminary inducement in December of 2018. Obviously, a great deal of time has eclipsed since that approval. Several changes have been made. A number of approvals from the town have occurred over this time, but normally we would move to a final approval after a hearing, but because of those changes and the time that's elapsed, we felt it was important to basically repeat the process over again. So that includes, of course, your presentation tonight. As is in the other projects, there will be hearings on this in the future. Obviously, there has to be negotiations on the pilot and the other requests that you're making. And that we will then, after those hearings, take this project up again. I do want to indicate that I have been in touch with the town of Oyster Bay. Certainly let them know about this hearing or this meeting tonight and the potential for your presentation. And want to thank the supervisor and his staff for working with us on that as well. I am aware that there has been some community concerns about this project, and I want to assure the people in the community, as I have in the other projects as well, that we will have a hearing right in the area. In fact, if we could do it at the Millerage Inn, that's not a bad idea, and give anyone an opportunity to be there and either support or oppose the project. I know that there is support for the project as well along those lines, and that's important as well. So with that, I do want to ask the board if they have any questions for Bill or the developer, or any comments that they'd like to make.
I should mention, Mr. Chairman, that we do have the support of the business community and of the Jericho School District.
Well, thank you, and they're certainly welcome to participate in the process, to file comments or to come to the hearing so we can hear directly from them. So thank you for that. So hearing nothing from the board, Harry, you have anything you want to say on behalf of staff?
No, I'll only make the board aware that Danielle Oglesby, our chief operating officer, and I met with the developer. We walked the site. We think that the impact on the community is going to be minimal to what perhaps we believed previously. And we think it's a great project for the addition to that community and that business district.
Thank you, Harry. So hearing no further comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the preliminary inducement for 26 Sunset.
I'll make a motion, Anthony Simon.
All right. Is there a second?
And I'll second it, Chairman Kessel.
Louis Warren seconds it. All right, we'll take a vote. Richard Kessel, yes.
Amy Flores, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Louis Warren, yes.
Is Chris Fusco there?
Yes. Chris Fusco.
You vote? Chris? Chris, do you vote yes on the project, or what's your vote?
Chris, you muted yourself. Unmute yourself one more time. There you go.
Yes, I vote yes. Great project.
Thank you, Chris. So the project preliminary inducement passes 6-0. And we'll move on, as I've said to the other developers. We will start working with you, and when feasible and appropriate, we will have a public hearing in the community about this project. And certainly sounds like an important economic growth and development project in the town of Oyster Bay. And I look forward to working with you on that. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And thanks again to staff, especially Danielle, for doing such a great job in putting this together.
Thank you. All right. So we have a few other matters that I'd like to take up. Harry, can we move into this now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay. First, we have the audit committee report. Do we need, Tom Glasscock, do we need to do this again?
Yes, I would do, I'd follow what was done with the leak meeting.
Okay. By the way, Tom Glasscock, no one's properly introduced him, but he's not, I don't think he's wearing a bow tie tonight. But Tom is our agency counsel. He's done a tremendous job. And Tom, I want to thank you for all of your hard work as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So do I hear an audit committee report from John Kamadas, who's the acting chairman of that committee?
Do we have to open up the committee?
No, you can just report on the action that was taken during the committee and make a recommendation.
I think we agreed to everything at the meeting earlier, so I'd like to bring a motion to the floor. Do we bring a motion to the floor?
You can do so, yes, sir.
Okay. So the members, I guess, Tim Williams not present, so it would be John Kamadas, right? It would be Anthony Simon and Chris Fusco.
I'll second that, John.
Okay.
Okay, so asking the board to approve the report of the audit committee. Richard Kessel, yes.
Chris Fusco, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
Louis Warren, yes.
Amy Flores, yes.
Okay, so that report has been accepted, and I assume that Tom, that takes care of the resolution on the audited financial statements under the other section of our agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it does.
Thank you. I'd now like to bring up the approval of minutes from our February 27th meeting. First of all, are there any comments about the meetings, changes, additions? Hearing none, I will move that those minutes be adopted. Richard Kessel, is there a second?
Louis Warren, second.
Thank you, Louis. All right, Richard Kessel votes yes.
Amy Flores votes yes.
Chris Fusco, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
Louis Warren, yes.
Thank you. The minutes carry. Again, I wonder what would happen if they were voted down, but I won't probe into that tonight. We have a resolution now to authorize the engagement of Camoin Associates to provide certain economic research services. Harry, you just want to briefly explain that, and then we can move on to the others?
Yes, members of the board, as you recall, on a prior meeting, we approved Camoin Associates, Millennium Communications, as well as ZE Creative Communications as awardees of a prior RFQ. What we're seeking approval tonight is on the scope of work and, more importantly, the associated budget. If you have your Dropbox available, under other business for the IDA, folder number 7, the first file under M for marketing initiatives budget review. I have laid out our budget for the year for marketing initiatives, and then followed that with the cost of the programs that we're undertaking or we hope to undertake with Camoin and Millennium. You can see the amounts there, and you can see that at the end, after these projects, we will still have a sizable budget remaining for marketing initiatives. Again, this comes back to a joint agreement between Camoin and Millennium, with Camoin acting as the prime for brand identity development, website design and development, strategic planning. Secondly, there is a separate ongoing marketing services agreement with Millennium for marketing support, social media management, and web hosting. And then there will be a third agreement with ZE Creative Communications. The scopes of work are included within the resolutions. You will see, if you took a moment to look at them, they are fairly extensive and very thorough and encompass all strategies and marketing initiatives for the agency. So at this point, we're seeking on the two resolutions for Camoin Associates, as well as the resolution for Millennium, to accept those agreements, which have been reviewed by council, and accept the cost of those endeavors.
Thank you, Harry. Tom, can we take these together, both the Camoin and the Millennium Communications?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got two resolutions, one of the engagement of Camoin and the other, the engagement of Millennium Communications. Do I hear a motion? Well, first, sorry, I apologize. Do any board members have any questions for Harry or anyone else on these two resolutions? Okay, hearing none, and I do want to point out for the public that there were initial discussions about this at our February 27th meeting as well. So do I hear a resolution to approve the engagement of Camoin Associates and Millennium Communications?
Anthony Simon.
I'm sorry.
Is there-
I'll second. Anthony Simon, I think, made the motion. Chairman Kessel, I'll second his motion. Louis Warren.
All right, thank you. So we'll vote Richard Kessel, yes.
Amy Flores, yes.
Chris Fusco, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
Louis Warren, yes.
All right, the resolutions are adopted, both unanimously. Thank you. And Harry, I want to thank you, Catherine, Danielle, and the staff for the extensive work that you did in interviewing many companies. I participated in a few of them, but you guys did most of the legwork. And I thank you for all of your work. And thank you, Catherine and Danielle and our other staff who worked on this. We much appreciated. And I know we did also initially approve ZE Communications, and we will be taking that up at a future meeting. The next resolution is to authorize the hiring of HR&A advisors. I indicated at the beginning of the meeting that this is the firm that we will retain on behalf of the County Executive's Economic Advisory Council in partnership with Hofstra University and my good friend Stu Rabinowitz, to help prepare an analysis to present to the state and federal governments, legitimizing the request for how much aid the county will need and where we need it the most. This will be a very specific analysis. We've been in touch with them, and they will be engaged here to provide some reports and analysis, hopefully in several weeks. And I just might ask Harry, if you, because you've been dealing with HR&A and the contract, if you want to just expand on that, and then we can take questions from the board.
Certainly, HR&A is a New York City-based firm that has prior experience working in Nassau County. I believe they analyzed the third track project as well as the 2035 sustainability plan. Their scope of work and their proposals and agreement are again included in folder number 7, other business, under H for HR&A. I will tell you the cost of the study will be a minimum of 50,000, 50, and a maximum of 65,000, 65. The county executive has announced HRNA as the selected provider. They will do a baseline economic study followed by best case, worst case scenarios on the economic impact and help us create remedial programs to offset the negative economic impact of the COVID crisis.
Thank
And
you,
if I could add, Mr. Chairman, that the contract will be between HRNA and the IDA, and it will allow the IDA to, the analysis will allow the IDA to better and best strategically utilize the financial assistance it can provide and other resources to have the best, the greatest impact for the local economy in Nassau County, given the current crisis.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions or comments from my fellow board members?
Chairman Kessel, it's Lewis Warren first. I want to compliment you for your co-chairmanship of the Nassau Economic Advisory Commission that County Executive Karen set up. I think it's important for us to dig deep and study this. So I commend you, Harry, for going out and trying to get us the best forecasting, analysis, et cetera. I mean, we need to be able to advise the county executive, the governor, and the federal government what the real impacts are here in Nassau County. So I think this is a smart and wise investment to actually have data that we can present to the federal government all the way down about the specific impacts to Nassau County. So I'm very supportive of this.
Thank you, Lewis. Any other?
I'd like to say something. John Kamatis. I want to thank our board for all we do. And with this passing, I want to thank the county executive. I also want to thank the county legislator and the new board that Mr. Kessel will be on to help us out. I'm a member of the people or the committee of those that have been affected by this coronavirus and the economic impact. Our restaurant's been closed like other small businesses have. The biggest thing with our small businesses are we're going to fend for ourselves as owners. However, our employees in the businesses that we run, small businesses basically, work for an hourly basis, have no guarantee of salary, basically pay for their own health benefits, no pensions, have to take care of their families. So it's a tough situation for them. And with the SBA loans that are going out for the owners, their impact is that their mortgage has to be paid, their utilities, and insurance-wise, that if we can help, one of the biggest things right now in the insurance company is that there is something called a interruption clause in most insurance policies that rewards the small businesses for lack of business over the last year. Insurance companies have denied those rights right now. And as companies, I think we have to get out there and tell our insurance companies, you're allowed to try to apply for it. And if we get enough names to try and change that, that goes on. Also with the SBA loans going out for small businesses, I think it's real important that Mr. Kessel, when he goes out with this committee, is to try and find out the real rules. Everybody's running around with getting ideas of what things are, but not what the real thing is. And basically, that's all I want to say. I mean, look, we're going to fight for what we have to do, but time is money. And the sooner we start, the sooner we come out running after this virus is done, is important to us, because the simple reason is most businesses, even though we're up and running, we'll be running on one leg. We'll be running at 30%, 40%, 50%. So we figure about 25% of all small businesses will be out of business before we reopen. And maybe 50% of small businesses will be closed by the end of the year. Now, the other impact that has on the county and towns is that a major portion of their payroll budget every year is on sales tax. And a lack of sales tax is going to be coming in through our communities, and it's going to affect what goes on future lives. So I commend everybody. I just think time is money, and the faster we get this going and simplify things and make it easy for people to understand and get our workers back to work would be the best thing we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And John, I want to thank you. We become great friends, and really great to know you. But I want to thank you for your input. John has been giving me a number of ideas and input on what we could do to help small businesses like his. I really want to thank you for all of your input and your friendship and your support.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else on the?
And John, it's Lewis Warren. I just want to say, I deeply appreciate when you add the voice of the business owner and small business owner to our board deliberations and thoughts. So thank you from my perspective, because you capitalize where we are right now. When you think about the economic impact to workers, to our towns and counties, resales, tax, et cetera. I mean, this is a tough situation. So I just want to say thank you, John.
Thank you for being a friend.
Anyone else on the board have any questions or comments about HRNA? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution to retain the services of HRNA?
Chairman Kessel, it's Lewis Warren. I'll make the motion.
Anthony Simon seconds it.
Thank you. We'll now vote. Richard Kessel, yes.
Amy Flores, yes.
Chris Fusco, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
Lewis Warren, yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 6-0. We have one more resolution, and that is to approve a resolution to procure an expenditure of funds to boost Nassau. As I said at the beginning of this, we are trying to help the small business community survive. We certainly want people and encourage people to stay home, but we understand that people have to go out for essentials on occasion. And if that's the case, we want to urge them to shop local in their local stores, as well as to shop safely and carefully. And this campaign will be primarily print. It will be in most of the weekly newspapers in Nassau County. It will be in some of the major, not just community weeklies, but publications like the Long Island Press and the Long Island Business News. I think this will be a real shot in the arm. It would be sponsored by the IDA, County Executive Laura Curran, and the Nassau Council of Chambers of Commerce. I think you can see the ad in front of you. I want to thank our staff, along with our media consultants, Todd Shapiro and Associates, and their team for working with us to put this together. If this is approved tonight, I'm hoping to see this commence as soon as Thursday. Harry, you have anything else you want to say on this?
Just for the board's benefit, the cost of the program right now is $33,000 spread across the weekly publications, as the chairman referenced.
Thank you, Harry. Are there any questions or comments by the board? Okay, hearing none, I will move that we procure this Boost Nassau campaign and the expenditure of funds to support it. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Anthony Simon.
Okay, we'll now vote. I vote, Richard Kessel votes yes.
Amy Flores, yes.
Chris Fusco, yes.
John Kamadas, yes.
Anthony Simon, yes.
Lewis Warren, yes.
Thank you. So that is adopted 6-0. Now, I think we also have a treasurer's report. Harry, am I correct? We don't hear you.
Thank you. We do. We have a first quarter treasury report in your folder number 7 of the business under I for IDA treasurer's report. The things that I will just quickly point out, you will note there is a shortfall in revenue as we've not experienced any closings versus budget. However, we do anticipate that once this crisis clears, we'll have some closings scheduled And that will bring us up to budget, and also it will help on the cash balance as well. You will notice on the line for other income, there is a positive number for January of 300,000. There's a number going out in March of the same amount. That is recapture money that we received from a client who was terminated. That's coming in January, going out back to the taxing jurisdictions in March. No other key items to reference other than really the shortfall in revenue again that we anticipate realizing back in the coming months.
Thank you, Harry. Are there any questions on the treasurer's report? All right, hearing none. Is there any new business, or does anyone on the board wish to comment on anything before we adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to recognize the staff as others have done. This was a big undertaking to get us right from a technological standpoint. A lot of hours went into this, a lot of hard work. I really appreciate their forward thinking and making this happen. Again, on the COVID response, the work that they're doing there is to be commended. And I just want to thank them for that. And Mr. Treasurer, for your benefit, one of our board members has a birthday today, and we should say happy birthday to Mr. Chris Fusco.
Happy birthday, young man.
Happy
birthday.
Thank you.
Chris?
I was trying to keep it a secret, but thank you.
Birthday.
Little birdies.
Congratulations, Chris. Good for you.
Thank you very much.
And you celebrated by being at the IDA meeting.
Yeah.
That's great. Just to announce that the next scheduled meeting of the board is on April 23rd, 6:30 NCLEAC and 6:45 IDA. Now, with all the, obviously we had a very extensive agenda tonight. We will keep the April 23rd on the schedule at this point. There may be changes due to the circumstances that we're all living under. So we will be in touch with the board members, and the public should check our website. We will try to get a sense in about a week, next week, about whether we will do a second meeting this month or schedule a meeting in May, earlier than our currently scheduled meeting, which is later in the month. So we'll keep you informed about that. I want to wish everyone a good night. Please be safe and healthy. And with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn this IDA meeting?
Motion to adjourn. Chris
Chris?
Fusco.
Anthony Simon seconds it. Everybody stay safe.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. Safe and healthy.
We all vote aye. Richard Kessel votes aye.
Amy Flores, aye.
Chris Fusco, aye.
John Kamadas, aye.
Anthony Simon, aye.
Lewis Warren, aye.
Okay, good night, everyone. Be safe, and we'll talk soon. Thank you to the public for watching us and participating in the way that you could. We look forward to your continued input. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.